And it's surprising, actually, because my business, it's a baby business, right? I just started. I've had so many people interested in franchising already. People are calling me to buy my business. I'm just like,
Really?
I get like that all the time already. And I think it's just the way I branded it. Yeah. So the aesthetic, my instructors are great. Before I started, I went into all of the Pilates studios and I started taking everyone's classes. And I remembered the instructors' names and I DM'd them on Instagram and I was like, hey, like, I really loved your class. You're amazing. Come check out my studio.
Welcome to the Attorneys on Accident podcast with your hosts, Joe Worth and Ash Blackburn. We are joined today with our lovely guest, Dr. Maggie. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Maggie is, well, let me just read this. I'm just going to jump right into it by reading a post that you put up recently. 2 years ago, if you had told me I'd be launching a successful chiropractic clinic and a Pilates studio, this is the part that surprised me, starting pilot school and traveling the world at the same time, I would have never believed it. Grateful for this life I created because I wasn't scared of the risk. We jump and we aren't afraid to fall. We fall and we get back up. Is that a quote that you heard? Where does that come from? We jump and we aren't afraid to fall. We fall and we get back up.
Is it something that was embedded from your mom?
I didn't hear it anywhere. I kind of just made it up just because throughout my childhood, I went through a lot of stuff that most children don't see. Yeah. So I came from nothing. I was an immigrant from Bulgaria. We came through Mexico and I've seen the bottom, right? So I really believe in reaching for the stars. And if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, I'll try again.
That bottom. So you said you've seen the bottom. What did the bottom look like for you? Like, go back to your earliest years. What did that bottom look like?
So we immigrated from Bulgaria. We came through Mexico. There was a family back then who worked in America but lived in Mexico, and they had a kid that was my age. My mom basically had to put dark makeup on me because I was very fair skinned, and a towel to pretend I'm that kid or their kid, right? So that's how we crossed the border, and they caught my mom. So we ended up going to jail for 2 weeks and waiting for my dad, who was already in America. He came 6 months before us.
Wait. So you and your mom are in a jail?
Yes. So
like an actual jail?
How old are you?
Mexican jail.
How old are you?
Oh, yes. I was 2.5, so I don't remember this. This is just stories from my mom and dad. And I'm sorry, Mom, if you don't want me to share this. But these are just stories from them. We basically waited for my dad. He was in Utah at the time, and he brought 2 Mormon missionaries actually to come help bring us to where he was living. So I don't remember any of that. These are obviously just stories. And then I lived in Utah, and just the experiences not having any money and living in Utah were crazy. So I just don't ever want to be in that position again.
Yeah.
And you lived in not a nice part of Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
And you had some early memories of SWAT.
Yes. So I just remember one day, it was a couple of times actually, the SWAT team came to our apartment complex. But the one time that really just stood out to me was I was walking in the apartment complex next door, the second level, and all of these guys just start running. I was 5. But I remember it so vividly. All of these guys just start running at me. And one of them like gets down on his knee and is like, little girl, you have to leave. Because they're like about to bust down the door and like take some people out. I don't know what the SWAT team does. But I just remember that moment, and I just like ran home, and my heart was rushing. And yeah. And there was another time in that same apartment complex, our next door neighbor, she knocked on our door at like 3 a.m. She was completely, I opened like my door of my room and kind of was watching because my dad opened the front door, and this lady comes in and she's like, please help me. Like my boyfriend busted my face with the back of a gun. And it was just, these little memories just were insane.
Yeah. How do you process those now?
I honestly forget about them. It's just that we're here. I just want to share my story, but they're
did it
kind of like in
motivate
the
you
back.
to say, okay, I'm not going to
Of
be
course.
in this
I think in the
situation
back of my head, I'm just like, I'm never going to be where I was back then. I was only 5, right? So processing all of this wasn't that crazy to me. Just thinking back on the story.
Okay, so you're 5. You're having these experiences where you go, okay, I'm seeing the contrast. I want the opposite of this. There's a path to get there. You posted back on Facebook, back when you were more of a Facebook poster. Was it 2013? What did you post on Facebook about?
So it was along the lines of, I was already living in LA at that time, trying to get my education. It was along the lines of, I miss Vegas and my family, but I need to work hard because I want to open up this fitness studio and do something with myself because I don't want to go back. So I knew from a very young age, back then I was 19, 20, where I wanted to go and where I wanted to be, right? So, yeah.
Why fitness? Why was that something that came to you so early?
Yeah, I grew up with my dad and my mom they never let us have soda. They always forced us to work out. My dad was like, we got to go running today. My family's just like that.
Yeah.
Just a very healthy family. So I just kind of
That's unusual. Are they athletes or?
went with that route. No.
Oh.
They're health cautious people. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Good parents.
Yeah.
So why did you end up in LA?
Just for school. So back in high school, I went to Rancho High School in Vegas. They had a sports medicine program. And from there, I went to LA to get my kinesiology degree. I went to Cal State Northridge. And I focused on exercise science and sports medicine. And I also stayed out there because they also had a chiro school I chose because they were sports medicine heavy and just PT-based. I can't really say PT because I'm not a physical therapist, but
Yeah.
But you have your doctor of chiropractic.
I do.
And you also, at UNLV, you got some specialized training in Pilates.
Yes.
Which is really what we want to focus on and talk about. And the reason we wanted to have you on this podcast was you are doing something totally different. I haven't heard of it. I've heard of people blending yoga and chiropractic treatment, but I've never heard of anyone blending
Pilates and
chiropractic.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I worked for a physical therapist throughout my 20s, and she did all of her rehab on reformers. And I kind of got a feel, and I learned everything through experience from her. And when I moved here, I worked for a lot of chiropractic clinics that just focused on the joint. And you could only mobilize a joint so much, right? You want to work the muscles around the joint. And especially for people with a lot of back pain, low back pain especially, you want to strengthen the core. And Pilates allows you to really focus on those little muscles that no one really focuses on.
It hurts so.
Yeah. There's just muscles you would never even think of. Like the back has the multifidi. It has the erector spinae. We never activate those because we're usually sitting at a desk most of the time, right? And so they're just weak. And then we also have the diaphragm, because Pilates also focuses on diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing from your stomach rather than your chest, because it's engaging your core. So you're using your diaphragm, you're expanding your breath outwards through your ribs, and also using your transverse abdominis, which is your deep core muscle. Also the pelvic floor muscles too, as well. So just that as a whole, working around the low back for people with low back pain is just works wonders, and is necessary.
So you came to that earlier than most, understanding, appreciating that so much of our problems with back pain has to do with a lack of core strength, right?
Yes.
And I told Ash another reason I wanted you to come on and we wanted to sit down with an expert in this field was I can recall the first time I was educated on the benefits of Pilates, and that was through a neurosurgeon here in Las Vegas. And I was in a deposition and we were talking about a client that was in a car accident and needed surgery. It was a bad accident. And had back pain for a long, long time, and he's going through his medical records, and then he says, and then I recommended 4 to 6 weeks of Pilates-based physical therapy.
Yeah.
And after the deposition, I was curious. I asked him, I said, well, what's that about? Why'd you say Pilates and not just physical therapy? And he says, this is something that I feel very passionate about, and I feel like I need to educate other doctors constantly that it's all of those small supporting muscles and the abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor that you focus on in Pilates, like you just mentioned, that are going to keep people from going under the knife. And I feel as a doctor who doesn't want to ever be quick to cut, I try to put myself in the shoes of all of my patients. I just realized that I was doing a massive disservice by not recommending a course of Pilates, because what do you think happened to most of those patients that actually dedicated that 4 or 8 weeks to Pilates?
Yeah, they got that surgery.
A lot of them ended up not having to have one of the most invasive surgeries that people undergo, which is a spinal fusion, cervical or lumbar. So I came away from that conversation forever changed, and then did a little bit of a deep dive on Pilates. My wife's super into Pilates. Her friends are into Pilates. But I would love for you to talk about, like, how have you been able to break through some of these, I don't know what to call it, but Ash, what would you say? Like, these people look at Pilates and they see the pictures and they think that's not for me, right?
You're like adverse to it. I started Pilates after I had my baby, and it's intimidating, I think is the word, right? Is it
super intimidating? You see somebody with one, they're doing a crane and one foot and they're shaking. I mean, the first time I did it, I remember making so much noise. I'm like, I'm never coming back, because the springs were just...
There's nothing better than seeing a boy do Pilates.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny.
So good.
So humbling, right?
But it is. I think it's very intimidating. Until you do it and you kind of realize that it's this build up to it. But
people have to remember that it came from rehab-based exercises, right? It's been commercialized throughout the years.
Talk about that.
So Joseph Pilates, he was the pioneer, right, of Pilates. He back then called it controlology, because we want to control all those small muscles. He turned a hospital bed into basically like kind of a reformer. He took springs and pulleys, and he worked on these people back in World War I, during the war, that got injured, worked their core, because a lot of them had spinal injuries, worked their core with the springs and the pulleys in the hospital bed. That was before he went to New York and kind of just commercialized the space for athletes and dancers.
Right. He gets to New York and he found a space with professional dancers, right?
Yes.
And then after he passed away, my understanding, and I want to show off to Ash that I memorized the Wikipedia, was, he basically had these disciples that carried on his practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where it stems from. People have to remember that. Yeah. It's not about the commercialized stuff is the pretty girls with the foot and the straps.
Dancers,
and
right?
Dancers, yeah. It came from rehab
bed.
A hospital bed, yeah.
Well, I want to know, have you seen men come into it more? Have you seen older people come into it more as it's become more popularized?
Yeah.
And willing to try it out and become converted?
Yeah, of course. My first experience with Pilates was someone that was 80. Right. Okay. So he had an injury, he had low back pain, and he was doing the reformer and loved it. Throughout my schooling with UNLV, I also shadowed a Pilates specialist, a rehab girl, and she was doing Pilates with a lady that was 93. And I walked into the room and I had no idea she looked like, I don't know, 68 or something, 65. Like, she looked way younger than she was.
Not a decade, like 30 years.
Yes, no, it was, it was amazing. And she was just moving so easily. She was 93, right? I just think if you continue it, you just have to remember that it's a lifelong thing. Right? You can't just do it, even with injuries, right? I'm rehabbing a patient. I always tell them, you have to continue to move. The moment you stop, your back pain's going to come back. The mobility,
right?
Yeah. The mobility is going to get lost. Your back pain's going to increase. You just have to make this a lifestyle.
And it's not just a clever comment, motion is lotion, and you die when you stop moving. I mean, that's the reality. We've seen it. We see that with our our car accident and our injury patients that get hurt, you know, you can't just expect some surgery to save you and then you're never going to have back pain. Like if you don't continue to do those things that strengthen your muscles, well, of course your back's going to hurt.
You're going to have that surgery under your belt. And if you don't continue to exercise, that pain's going to be back. Right. So.
Yeah. And it sucks that it is hard. I mean, I asked my wife this morning before we came on the show, I said, what do you love about Pilates and why has it become something that you do? She does tennis and Pilates. Mm-hmm. And she said it's a whole body workout. There's no like do some isometric arm lifts or bench press and then you rest and then you look at your phone. She says she loves and hates, but she loves the fact that when she goes to a Pilates class, her whole body's going to be engaged. Mm-hmm. There's not really a lot of breaks. Like you're moving constantly. It's a dance. There's a flow to it. And I thought I'm sure what keeps a lot of people away from it. I have a quick story to share. So Derek England, he was on part of the Golden Knights, the original Misfit team. And his wife, Melissa England, she taught Pilates. My wife went to her studio. He came. You know, he's in the off season and everyone's like, oh, there's the Golden Knight and he won the Stanley Cup and he's got this amazing, you know, butt and glutes and legs and, you know, so all these women are staring at him and he said it was he told his wife, that was so humiliating because just not as bad as me, but I mean, here's a professional ice hockey player struggling to do Pilates and he's on ice skates and doing lower body movements. So I just thought it is very hard.
Why do you think men struggle more than women to do Pilates?
I just think they're so used to the lifting side of it. They're not doing like those isometric like holds for a long time, right? They're not used to it. But once they start doing it though, of course you'll get better.
How many classes does it take to kind of get through that initial?
Everyone's different. Yeah, I always say start with a level 1, learn the fundamentals, then go to a level 2 and a 3. That's how my classes are built. Right.
It's also so important. The form, I think, of Pilates is something that's so important. I've done a few different instructors at Lifetime, and I recently went to a class, and the instructor was like, "Have you been doing Pilates for a while?" And I was like, well, "Yeah, a couple years on and off." But then I ended up getting one at home, and I've been doing it at home. That doesn't count. I was like, "What do you mean that doesn't count?" And she's like, "Well, let me see your form." And she's like, "Yeah, that doesn't count." Yeah. So, you know, that's what I think is so important too, is that doing with an instructor really does help you make sure that you're in the right formations to kind of do all of these individual movements.
You have to be in the right form. You'll learn something totally wrong. And
Ashley and I have talked about this on the podcast before, that my journey with fitness and exercise was what you mentioned, that realization that this is for life. You don't get to do this till you're 50 or 60. You don't retire from exercise. Yeah. What's the point in making money, having a great life if you can't enjoy it and you can't be physical and do those activities? I mean, what is it pretty rewarding to have people come into your studio and then see them that switch, transformation mentally, where they now a lifetime?
I've had people come in for PI, right? They're injured.
Personal injury.
Yeah. Never worked out before. And then by the end, they're like, "Can I have a membership? Because I want to continue to do this." And it honestly makes me so happy.
Because
I changed their life at that point. I'm a little, small part of their life that turned out for the better. So
that was the other thing that I would say for Pilates. I am somebody that will go in the gym in spurts and then be done and then have to just start all over again. And Pilates was one of those things, I don't know why, but the fact that you don't have to wear shoes and you could basically roll in your pajamas. Yes, I was like, and you get to lay down a lot. I was like, you get to lay in.
You're finding the positive.
I did. I was like, this is the workout for me.
Yeah. A little I'm in a boat and I'm just gliding on the water.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. So you have this flourishing practice now, but you had opened another business in LA, right?
I did.
Talk to us about that and what your experience was.
My original business was called The Spine Spot. So my LLC is still The Spine Spot, just in remembrance of my first try at this. But it was just a chiropractic clinic.
In Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles. If you guys ever heard of Melrose Place, it was a restaurant that opened back during COVID. It was really popular at the time. And they had space downstairs for rent. So I rented that space. And I tried to do the online Instagram marketing for the chiro, and it just didn't work. and I spent not too much, right? Not too much.
What did it cost you for that initial investment?
It was only $10K because I was only like spending. It was only me renting a room. I bought some equipment. It didn't work, right? So
How soon did you know it didn't work? Like, when did you pull the plug?
when I was seeing 3 patients a day.
3 patients a day?
Yeah. I was like, this isn't
For
working.
how long? Months?
I tried for like 4 or 5 months, and I was like, okay, I need a new plan. And I was like, let me go back to working for someone else, just saving, right? And then just learning more before I tried again.
Yeah.
So.
Talk to us about the saving part because, one thing that me and Joe talk about a lot as he's mentoring a lot of younger people is like, there's this lost idea of how you get to where you're going, I feel like. And so I too, like, I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to be a lawyer. I worked at Sprouts. I was a paralegal at the same time. I was a busser at the same time, trying to afford my way to school. And so there were all of these other jobs that helped get me to where I am today. So how were you able to put $10,000 into a business kind of shortly after school?
I worked 2 jobs all the time. I always worked a job that would teach me my field and a job that would make me my money.
Yeah.
So I saved a little bit of money, $10K at the time. It was right, a very partial amount to what I've spent on Solidity. I tried it, it didn't work, and then I just continued to work also throughout my schooling too. I had 2 jobs. I'd work until 3:00 in the morning serving drinks. Instead of going to my house, which was in Marina Del Rey, because my job was near like Hollywood, which everything in LA was 35 minutes to an hour away. So whether I go to
that time.
Marina Del Rey or I go to Whittier, where my school was, I decided to go to Whittier. So I'd get off at 3 a.m. I had to drive to Whittier 4 a.m. I'd finally just fall asleep in my car, which was probably not so smart being a female, just like in the middle of the school parking lot, just sleeping there. But I'd wake up at like 6:30, get ready for school, and then I'd start school at 8. So I'd get about 2.5 hours of sleep.
That works when you're young.
Yeah. Well, not now.
Not now.
I couldn't do it now.
For a season.
I was on 2, and I would do it through, if I had a test, I'd still do it. If I had, like, it just, I never stopped working, and I was just like, I have to save a little bit of
Well, I want to hear this. I love that you asked that, Ash. People need to hear it. Younger people need to hear that part of Dr. Maggie's story of life, because they see Ash where she is and they go, wow. And they either looks unattainable and impossible and some sort of special gift, or, or the opposite, right? They're like, well, that's not me. But what they don't see is all of those kind of only sleeping for 2 or 3 hours and working at Sprouts and doing the thankless jobs and the invisible jobs, right? So I appreciate you sharing that, but I do want to go back because I think there's such a lesson when you said you kind of just breezed past it like it was no big deal. But when you said like, oh, I tried it and then I just thought, well, it didn't work out, so I'll just go back and learn some more. I don't think everybody has that strength. Is that something that you cultivated, or is that kind of just you're born with that?
I watched my parents growing up. We obviously came from nothing, and they just always never gave up on me, on my sister. They are people, they've been together for 32 years. They're so loyal to each other, right? They're so driven. They work so hard. And I just watching that growing up, I'm like, that is what I want.
Did they tell you it's okay to fail, or did you just watch their example?
I just watch their example, right? My parents served also, like, from Utah, we moved to Vegas. I grew up in Vegas before going to LA. They would do the bartending, the serving the drinks, all the different jobs. And then finally my mom was like, she owns a successful insurance business out here. So she's been open now for 15 years. But I learned from her. She's the powerhouse of our household. So yeah.
That's really good to have that kind of example, that it definitely propels you forward to see other people just not give up, you know, and keep pushing towards a goal.
Yeah. I mean, I always had all these business ideas throughout my 20s. I wanted to start my own podcast. I wanted to do a sportswear line. I wanted to be a sports reporter. It was like always these different ideas. And one time I was like, Mom, I'm going to be an actor. I'm quitting school.
How'd you feel about that?
Oh my gosh. It was like the end of the world. I quit school for 6 months. And she's like, they started to help me a little bit with financially when they first started their business, maybe in my like mid 20s. And she's like, I'm taking away everything that I'm helping you with.
Oh, wow.
You enjoy LA without a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think that's important too. I read, I can't remember, but they were talking about like pursue your talent rather than your passion when you're young too, right? Like you had kind of had the experience of your family working, bartending, right? So like that was something that you could go into, but then also they were always physically active and teaching you these things, and you got that kind of education. So what you're doing is a very natural evolution of what you were kind of born to be talented at, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's so important, again, for a younger generation to just move towards your talents. I do think it was a podcast I was listening to, and I was like, if anybody tells you to follow your passion, it's because they already have money.
Yeah,
right.
true. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to consider where they are when they're giving that advice.
But it really is my passion. Now that I just like think back on it, like my whole life, just back from 18, back from high school, like it just led me in the right direction, right? It just naturally happened. Yeah. I wasn't like, I wanted to try all these different things, but my path just paved itself.
And I think you said that to us, that it was like kind of 2 months that it took to kind of form Solidity and what it is and put all that whole package together. But at the same time, it was 10 years of prep work and 10 years of working.
I didn't realize it. I was just like, 2 months before I opened Solidity, I found the location. I was like, what am I going to do? Okay, it's the spine. It was still the spine spot 2 months before. And I was like, I need to think of something different. One, because we also work in personal injury, right? So the way we get paid, it's about 9 to 15 months later. So I was like, okay, through my experiences, I'm going to start this Pilates business. It's going to bring me a cash flow for the first 10 to 15 months.
Where you're waiting for
while I'm waiting for cases to settle and everything. And then the ball just started rolling. Yeah.
So what about just your day-to-day back pain, right? I mean, I'm now 47, soon to be 48, and I'm in that demographic where I see the memes and it's like, you only get this if your back hurts, right? Because it's like you're clearly older. And it's just, I've got constant low back pain and it's tight. Like you said, I sit, so my hips get tight. I'm always doing the figure 4 stretches and trying to open up the hips. And I'm very active and I still have low back pain, right? And I know so many people that is just constantly complaining. Do you feel like the world could be cured of back pain if everybody just did Pilates and stuck with it?
No.
I thought you'd say yes.
I'm also a big advocate of changing it up, right? So I love Pilates. It has its purpose, right? It's great on the joints because it's low impact. It's engaging those small muscles, but also strength training is very important. Right? Especially as we age after the age of 30, like you want to build that muscle mass. It helps with bones. It helps with osteoporosis, right? You want to kind of just slowly reverse that. And it's the strength training that helps with that. So especially with myself, I will strength train and I will do Pilates.
So in tandem, I try to do yoga twice a week and then 4 or 5 strength training, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I saw you at the gym this morning.
I did.
Nice job. She got me by a half hour. So, but yeah, I need to, but Pilates is the call. Like I know it's just like,
you just have to
there and I'm scared and I'm kind of like,
mix it in, right?
Yeah. I need
in your regimen. Yeah.
Just because I know how hard it is and you have to get, it's just like training for a marathon. Like the first 2-3 weeks are going to be miserable. I didn't have the socks, but then you got me the socks, and now I had no excuse.
So funny. I think that it truly is, everybody's so different, because that was not my experience. Not that it wasn't hard. It was hard, but it was so enjoyable for me. It was like the first time that I had tried any kind of exercise where I was like, I can definitely do that over and over again. And then working with an instructor, like they got I think that the guy that I started working with was very classical, which was awesome. And so he had been working with a lot of older patients, or not patients, but a lot of older people. And ultimately, when he realized that how strong I was, he got really excited and was like, okay, can you hang from this thing?
Yeah.
Can you do this?
The aesthetic, though, I mean, if let's say you dedicate yourself to Pilates, does it give you a dancer's body? Like, does it give you that kind of defined?
It you out.
If
If you stick with Pilates, right?
you'll see all those smaller muscles, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know that's something everybody wants, right? Is that lean physique and not just to be big and strong. Do you see, back to the men thing, I mean, how do you get a lot of men? Is it mostly women?
I do get men, but I would say it's about 15% of clients that come in.
Do you do anything to market to men, or are you just...
I need to be better.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's my company is a female ran company. It's my assistants are female, my front desk is female, the instructors are female. It's just
Okay. Well, I'll get out there. I'll get my friends out there.
Funny though, when I think about Lifetime and the men that I've seen come through their Pilates, it is a lot of like athletes, like it's people that you can tell are playing sports, and so that should be a huge lot of
But how many?
Why? So I mean, this is you're saying the people that it's their career and they make money for it, they do Pilates. There's got to be something to that, right?
You mean the athletes?
Yeah, I mean the fact that
they can't be lifting, right, or throwing a ball just for, right. They have to work on all of it.
Yeah, the mobility side.
The mobility. Yeah.
Which I think is the most important to me part of Pilates that I got out of it was I like lifting. It's serves its purpose, especially as I'm getting older, but I've never had the kind of mobility, especially sitting hunched over a desk for so long, that I had when I was consistently doing Pilates.
Yeah. What do you tell people that are not open, that aren't open and they aren't necessarily naturally curious, and you're trying to tell them to give it a shot? Like, is there anything you tell them to kind of hook them or get them excited or willing to try it? Do you have any tricks to reel them in?
I'm the worst salesperson.
You hire that out?
I honestly am the worst salesperson. I just tell them how it benefits their body and what if you try it.
Maybe you're like your parents and you just lead by example.
I really I try.
I've seen your billboard and you looking all long.
Just lead by example. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm one of those people, if you don't listen to me, then I'll just give up. I can't convince you. I don't know. I'll try. No.
I love that. So what's the future for Solidity look like?
So we're looking at location number 2 already. We've been looking for the last 6 months, but location has been really hard to find. Summerlin-ish area. I can't announce it because we're about 80% there. Both sides agreed to the letter of interest and what we want. It's just the attorney side of things and tuning everything. So we'll see. Hopefully by next week we'll get that lease signed.
Yeah. Do you have a grand plan, like 10-year plan for
Solidity?
Where you're headed?
Well, 10-year plan. I would like to have 3 or 4 different locations in Vegas. Hopefully, maybe go to Arizona. Yeah, I kind of just want to expand. And it's surprising, actually, because my business is it's a baby business, right? I just started. I've had so many people interested in franchising already. People are calling me to buy my business. I'm just like,
really?
I get calls like that all the time already. And I think it's just the way I branded it. Yeah. So
the
aesthetic, my instructors are great. Before I started, I went into all of the Pilates studios and I started taking everyone's classes. And I remembered the instructors' names and I DM'd them on Instagram and I was like, hey, I really loved your class. You're amazing. Come check out my studio.
Yeah.
And so
I always thought about that too. So when you are hiring a Pilates instructor, are they bringing their own style to the practice or are you guiding that because you have a brand? How does that work?
So they are leading their own. I kind of tell them the style of it and then they form within what I want, but they make their own classes up.
So what's your style?
We do an athletic style Pilates class.
Okay.
So our level 1 is just the fundamentals and the basics. But once you get into level 2, obviously it's a little harder. And also we use weights. So level 3 is our like weightlifting Pilates class, because I do at the end of the day believe in weightlifting and mixing it in with Pilates. So they kind of form their classes with my guidance. So
Yeah. So you just went cherry picked.
Yeah.
Which
ones I like.
fit the vibe.
Yeah.
And since none of this takes very much time, you decided you want to get your pilot's license.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. So
You're just so bored on the weekends.
yeah. Back to my Facebook posts, I went on like a rampage of deleting everything on last Sunday, and I came by a post. Same year, 2013. I posted a video of this guy in the same kind of plane I'm flying now. There's 2 different kinds of planes you could fly. He was taking his like little 3-4-year-old on a ride. So I was just like, my comment was like, I wish this was me someday. I want to be here, and I'm here. So
There's nothing crazier than when I'm scrolling and I see Maggie either, racing horses.
So
I'm not racing horses.
I don't know. I was like saying,
so full disclosure, I judged you. I thought, oh, she just wants to look pretty by a plane, and then I read it and I'm like, okay, you know what? Touche.
Yeah.
She actually gonna fly the plane.
she flew that.
She's not just,
A reel's
saying,
coming out tomorrow. Me actually flying the plane. I'm excited.
I've seen him. I was like, you landed, right?
I didn't land.
No,
I took off. So my landing, I'm not comfortable yet. So it's going to take me a few more flights, but I'll get there.
I think that's the coolest thing, but also, and I have friends that talk casually about like Jason Mills, like about getting a pilot's license. Are there parts that are just beyond you, because it's like, oh shoot, I gotta get back into my math and my engineering brain, and like I'm a little intimidated with that.
So it's a lot of schooling right now. I'm just learning how to fly the plane.
Okay.
Right, because there's a lot of buttons involved. I'm learning little by little. I'm not going to remember the like millions of different buttons that are on the plane.
Right.
I have a teacher with me, so if I ever feel nervous, he'll take over for me. Actually, the last time I went, it was the first time he ever made me do all of the maneuvers. And maneuvers meaning like we're going 2,000 feet in the air, 1,000 feet down. So we're flying. It's not like a commercial plane where you're flying up, flying straight, flying down, right? We're going through the air like this. Like it's just like up and down. And then he's making me do these like spins in the air where you're at this like 45-degree angle and you really like look down and it's just the ground. So I got really nervous the last time and I didn't go back for 2 months. I was like, I kind of just like needed to reground myself. And then I finally went back last Sunday and I felt no anxiety. I was like, I brought my friend with me and she came with me and it was fine. And I did my first takeoff and I did really well, and they're excited for it and I was excited. So
yeah. How do you even get started doing that though? Like both of those hobbies I would like to do, horse riding and piloting. But I'm just like, where do you even start to know how to do that? Like
I don't know how to do it.
Googled it and we're like, who can I fly with?
So the pilot school was a recommendation from a friend of mine that flies helicopters, and he was like, hey, go to All In Aviation. They're really great. They're actually right next to you. And the way I like had the idea of flying was at Solidity, the executive airport is right behind us. So I'm looking out of the window from Solidity, and every day there's just these like little planes like going up and down. So I'm just like, I want to stop flying. Why not me? Why am I not up there? So my friend recommended the school I'm going to. I'm only going once a month just because it's super pricey. Most people take student loans out for it. They go like 3 times a week. I'm going, and honestly, I'm not trying to do it for like pay or like as my career. I'm just doing it just because.
Do you want a plane one day? Is that what the plan is? Are you going to have your own plane one day?
I don't know. That's the reaching high, but I'd like to have a plane. Yeah, I'm just doing it just because it's always been a dream of mine. So I'm going slow. I'm not in a hurry to get like my license, right? So at the rate I'm going at, I'd probably get it in 2 years. They usually get it within like 3-4 months if you're going every day.
Yeah. Well, slow and steady.
Slow and steady
business. So.
Yeah.
But that's something that's propelled you. It's made you successful. This mindset, right? This mindset that I can leap before I think. I can jump and then worry about, like just failure's okay. The risks are okay. I know
I'll figure it out.
because I'm still fighting these demons. And, for people that don't have that mindset, can you empathize? Can you step in their shoes and just like, do you motivate people and tell them like, just try new things or go ahead and sign up for?
I still get scared. I just push myself. Like the way I got nervous the last flight, I was like, am I going to go back? But I did, I was like, okay, I really I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. I have to just get through that initial scare, that initial like nervousness, and it'll be fine. Right.
And that's really like the truth of life, right? Is that like once you do it, it's like, oh, yeah, that's so bad.
So cool. Like this conversation, my dad flew, he had a couple planes. That was his passion. He was a general contractor, but flying was his passion. His dad flew in World War II, was a flying ace. And, but for some reason I've told myself I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to figure out the dials and the buttons. I look up
it's a lot.
Cockpit and I'm like, my brain.
That's what made me nervous last time. Yeah.
I need to work on my mindset because that's really inspiring to know you're just like, let you figure it out and step at a time. And if it takes longer than it normally takes, that's okay.
Yeah.
And the anxiety, I was thinking last weekend, for example, I stayed inside last weekend. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I was like, I'm never just staying put. So I tried it. The anxiety I get from staying put compared to actually trying something out is way worse than actually going out there and trying something, right? So I'm just like, I'm scared of like staying where I am. I want to keep growing.
And it does help me from time to time to go back to this quote of, you want to be doing things, if not daily, at least weekly, that scare you and terrify you, right? Like even this podcast, sometimes I'm like, Ash, why am I nervous or overthinking this? And it's a good thing. It means that you care. It means you're engaged in life, right? So I do try to do things that scare me.
Good for us. Like
you're not growing.
Your brain just needs that.
People kept asking me and you when you're like, Joe, you're crazy for going heliboarding. I did that last year for the first time, and it's not like I'm some amazing heliboard. You go on a helicopter and they drop you off on the top of a mountain.
At the top.
And you've got to do all the avalanche training.
And you're afraid.
Yeah.
But right. That's why I'm trying to be like, okay, maybe I can open up flying again for me. But when people would ask me like why you could get hurt or get buried in an avalanche, I did come back to, I want to be an example to my kids and myself that like do things that scare you, because if you don't, then you're not challenging yourself.
Yeah.
If it's easy, you're not scared about it. You're just whatever.
Mad props, because I can tell you right now, never. I would never.
Don't say never. I'm now considering flying a plane. I might actually get my pilot's license now because of you two.
Do that. Yeah. Do it. Tell us about the horseback riding too. I've seen you.
Of course, it's also another thing I've always wanted to do. I just want to just do exciting things. Like it's the adrenaline rush for me too. I picked between Western and English. I chose English riding. It's the jumps and the.
You just like the boots, the fancier boots.
That too. but it's been fun. I'm obviously still a beginner too. But
where are you doing that at?
It's this place called Blue Ribbon Riding, and it's in Centennial. I actually found it by kind of just trying different places out. I went to like 6 different like horseback riding places. I saw the Western, I saw the different English ones.
And what's the difference between the English and the Western?
The Western is like the cowboy hat. How do you explain it? It's a bigger saddle. There's a place to like hold on to. I'm a beginner, by the way. I'm not an expert on between Western and English. And then the English is you're doing the jumps, right? The Western is kind of, I don't know.
Race around a barrel, maybe?
Yes, barrel racing. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So you're flying, you're riding horses, you're trying to inspire people to, get their bodies in shape, solidify their bodies at your studio. How do you define a successful life? I mean, is there anything we haven't talked about where you're like, I also feel like to have meaning, to have a successful life, you need to have this? What would you tell people?
The ability to learn and the ability to grow. Also, family, right? I want to eventually have a family too, which I want to eventually, what I've learned, pass it down to my kids and so they can learn from me.
Yeah.
I want to be the cool mom. Yeah.
You will be cool, Mom.
You've already been.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah. I don't, if you're not comfortable talking about it, we don't have to, but I do know that, didn't you just save your eggs? Or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't save them, but I wanted to see how many eggs I had because I'm 33, right? I don't have a partner yet. So I'm just like, do I have any eggs? Like, can I get pregnant? So I went and I'm actually above the egg count, which is good for the monthly. So I want to save my eggs maybe like in the next year or two.
Yeah. I think that's so important to talk about. And we're having babies older and older. And that resource is there is important, I think.
So,
so we ask all of our guests this. Do you feel like you became chiropractor, Pilates instructor, entrepreneur, pilot on accident?
No, it was all planned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
It was all planned. Like, it was just in the back of my head my whole life.
Turning it over constantly.
Yeah, I just
observing.
not that I was like constantly thinking about it, but my path was just created for me, I think, from when I was little, and it just slowly got there. I wouldn't say it was on accident.
Destined.
It was almost destined, yeah.
Were there times where you were lonely and you had to go it alone because you either, you were moving too quickly and your friends weren't able or willing to keep up? Did you have the loneliness?
As I was building?
Yeah, as you were building and growing?
Yeah, I mean, I still get lonely. I feel like like I was telling Ashley earlier, like I don't go to the house parties. I'm like, and every time I'd like for college, for example, they'd be playing beer pong at a house party. I'm with my like my blanket and my tea. Like I'm not even drinking, right? So I'm just sitting in the corner just talking to like one or two people, and then I'll leave after like 45 minutes. So it gets lonely, yeah. And I think that's why also I want to do all these activities too. It keeps my brain stimulated, and and I find friends that also like those things.
That's what I was saying.
With me.
Do you think it's hard to find people to date and friends that kind of keep up at your pace?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I'm, like I said, I'm not the party girl. I'm not. And it's just, especially living in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find someone that's like on the same wavelength as me. So.
Well, for our listeners, I know that you are on the forefront of something that is only going to get more popular. People are only going to understand the benefits of Pilates-based therapy more and more. So thank you. Thank you for being part of that movement. Thank you for inspiring people. I know that we have sent people to you that come back and tell us what a great experience it is, and they were worried that we're going to send them to some janky chiropractor office and they just put them in a corner and say, here, stretch with this band, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you're doing a lot to break down this old kind of, this is what a chiropractor was, just like we're trying to do that with attorneys. This is, that attorneys do this and they act and talk like this. So I see you as something very positive, especially in the entrepreneurial space of inspiring people to say, you know what, you can get a traditional education and then you can blend your passion. It doesn't have to be either or. You can still make money and be successful and do all of the passion projects that you have, which are aplenty with you. So thank you for coming on. It's very much the message that Ash and I are interested in sharing with people and want people to kind of come away going, oh, you know what? I don't have to be just miserable in this lane or at that job or feel like I can only get joy and satisfaction from working out. Like, you really have done an amazing job at blending both. I hope people will check you out. I hope they'll come to your studio, and then I know it's a big secret where your new one's going to be, but you're going to be on the west side too because you're in Henderson.
Yes. So Summerlin South area.
Summerlin South area, which is fantastic for us. And if you're not in Las Vegas, please, research Pilates, look into it, because as attorneys who see people at their worst in these horrific accidents, we know the benefits of strengthening your core and doing everything you can to protect your spine and, in the unfaithful event that you do get into an accident. So Dr. Maggie, thank you for coming on and sharing your time and your wisdom with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Maggie, where can people find you?
So we have our Instagram handle, which is at Solidity Studio Vegas, or our website, which is www.solidity-studio.com.
Awesome. Check her out.
Thank
Go sign up for a class. Go get your butt kicked. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.